Hi, welcome back to the Rooted Soul podcast. If this is your first time joining us, my name is Jamila. I am a certified holistic energy practitioner and owner of Rooted Soul. And Rooted Soul was created to provide a safe space for the Afro-Diaspora holistic healing. We are all on our journeys, um, in different places on our journeys, but I believe that our healing journey is our pathway to liberation. And so the podcast was created to just be a place for us to come together as a community in our collective healing. So this episode is about the magician. And I kind of explained in my first episode that this series, or the beginning of our journey together on this podcast, we were going to explore energy and how energy plays a role in our life using the tarot deck card as symbolism. And so in my last episode, we talked about zero, the fool. And so today we're going to talk about number one, the magician. And I am calling this episode It's Magic. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Bear with me one moment. Let's look at larger. Okay, here we go. Um, let's see how I can. All right, I was trying to there you go. All right. So hopefully you can see the visual. It says it's sharing. I'm sorry, I was trying to get this to go away, but hopefully it'll go away on its own so that the picture will show completely. So the magician. The magician is a lot of things. It's it's a energy that so when we talked about zero, and we talked about how zero has no beginning and it has no end. It's kind of like the cycle. We'll look at one as the beginning. The magician, the number one is the beginning. And when you think about the beginning, um, with anything, it starts with you, right? And so, number one can represent individualism. And I don't mean individualism in the way, in the Eurocentric model of the word, but more so of individualism in the power of you. Um, individualism in a way that there is only one you. And this life experience that you're in will be the only moment of you. So that's what I mean in the terms individualism. And so one, the number one represents beginnings and individualism, the power of you. And everything that all of those hopes and dreams that were deeply rooted in your soul that start in the in zero, right? The fool, in the no beginnings, no endings. It's like this transition, either transitioning from an ending or transitioning into a beginning. Um, Now you are bringing it into self to do something with it. And so some descriptions of the energy of one of the magician would be communicator, right? Like you're clear on what it is that you want or do not want. And so you're able to articulate that. You are a conductor. And so because you are clear on what you want and do not want, you feel a sense of ownership, back to that individualism, right, of yourself. And you are able to conduct and navigate, your life, where you wanting your life to go. There is clarity of action and vision. Um, it's already been it's mapped out, right? Like it's mapped out mentally. There's assertiveness, manifester. You feel that you have this manifesting energy inside of you. Mentalist, that kind of goes back to like this clarity, right? Like a mentalist has clarity and intention and intentionality on their vision and how they want to take that vision or move that vision into action. And so there's this groundedness because like your head is in the clouds, mental, right? Like because you have this, you know what has been dropped into your soul, right? That you want your spirit to do, and so that you're imagine like your head's in the clouds, but your feet are rooted solid on the ground. So there is groundedness, like you are grounded, and that groundedness is what helps maintain the clarity and allows you to be the conductor. So those are some descriptions of the energy of one, the magician. Now, if that energy is blocked in you, some descriptors of that or identifiers of that would be if you find that you struggle with being a manipulator and kind of trying to manipulate things to work for you versus being in divine flow. You lack vision, and so everybody else's vision gets like your vision is blurred because everyone's input. So everyone else's vision is interfering with you to get some clarity. And so that can also feel like you have this muted voice, right? Like where where you feel like you can't articulate, you can't communicate what it is you want and need. You can't even figure out what it is you want and need because it's just too noisy in your head. And oftentimes when we talk about noisiness in the head, like that's because there's back to this muted voice, right? Because everybody else's voice is being heard. So those are like some description of if the energy is blocked. So the zodiac correspondent to this energy would be Gemini and Virgo. And so Gemini and Virgo are both mutable signs. Mutable meaning they are the transitioner into the next energy. So Gemini is the last energy that you experience before you go into the summer energy. And Virgo is the last energy that you experience before you go into fall. And so Gemini is the ending of spring and Virgo is the ending of summer. And so these two energies are these two zodiac signs rather would be the correspondent to the magician. So when we talk about wherever you are on your healing journey, right? Like I said in my first episode, some of us are just beginning and just learning about energy and how to work with all these energies that are within us. Some of us have been on this journey for some time now, and so we're familiar with all of the energies that well, I guess I wouldn't say all of them, right? Because there's just infinite amount of energies that come from the universe, right? From source, from the creator. Like, there's just so many aspects. This is an infinite number of them. but there are a lot that have been brought down to us through our ancestral, right? Our ancestral bloodline. And so I want to say, and I could correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say there's like over 400 in the Ifa of the Orishas. And so I'm saying that to say like there's so many energies and angles and aspects of energy, but some of us have been on this journey for some time that we've learned how to work with a lot of them. Some of us are have have been on it for some time, but not quite at the place where we know how to work with a lot of them, but maybe, a few of them. So anyway, I say all that to say, working with this energy, the zodiac energy that is relatable to it is Gemini and Virgo that you would want to get to know better, understand better. If you, where it is in your natal chart, if you have Gemini or Virgo in your natal chart, and if you do, where it's at in your natal chart. And I want to add also when we talk about the zodiac correspondent with if you have Gemini or Virgo in your natal chart, to also consider the sidereal as well, because the sidereal, and I'm not going to go too much into that right now because I don't want to deviate too far off from this topic, but the sidereal would be, it's when you think about like the our solar system, or this Milky Way that we're in, is fixed, right? Like things are where they're supposed to be, but we move around it. And so our where the sun, because we are moving around the sun, that's why, depending on your birthday, the zodiac is in depending on your birthday where the zodiac is. And then of course, the moon is moving with the sun as well. And so depending on your birthday where the moon is at. Well, think of sidereal more like the more fixed stars or constellations. And so the way that you can, an easy way to know your sidereal is if you know your rising sun and moon sign, it's the sign that is right before that one. So for an example, if you are a Gemini, then it would be Taurus. And if you are Virgo, it would be Leo. So that's like an example. So I'm saying that to say, even if you don't have Gemini or Virgo in your zodiac sign, it may be in your sidereal as well. And that kind of that can give you some information too. Okay, so the planet corresponded to this energy of one would be Mercury. And we all have heard, well, I don't like to say what we all have heard and not heard. Most of us have heard of Mercury retrograde, right? About how, like, when there's a Mercury retrograde, oh, let's be careful because, like, communication is off. I mean, I don't really fall into that. I see retrogrades as playbacks, and so it's an opportunity for me to kind of rewind and look at something from another angle that maybe I didn't look at it before. So that's kind of like how I look at retrogrades. But anyway, so the planet correspondent with this energy would be Mercury. And we know that Mercury is the messenger, right? Like, so Mercury is communication, which is why it's one of the fastest ones that moves around the sun. And the elements that correspond with this energy is air and earth. Now, depending on who you work with in this space of energy healing, some may only say air and some may only say earth. I see it as both. And the reason why I see it as both kind of leads us into the alchemy of what's happening with this energy of one of the magician. Because air and earth have to do with your spirit, right? Which is the energy, right? Another word for energy could be spirit. And you have this driving force for something that you desire or something that your spirit is just telling you needs to happen or needs to end, right? Like that's that spirit in you. when you think about your spirit talking to you, think about your heart when your heart is just telling you, I just, something in my heart is just telling me this, which is different than the gut. And that could be for another conversation. We talk about the solar plexus, that's more like a gut feeling. But this heart is more like this, your spirit talking to you, which is getting its information from the soul, right? And so, in order for that to take place or to manifest itself here on this earth plane, is earth. And that's why the two are working together. And the alchemy of this is the transitioning of spirit into matter or into physical manifestation, right? We're talking about the universal law of mental, where everything is mental. Everything starts in the mind, and the universal law of correspondent, meaning as above, so below, as below, so above. And so it's being able to take what's from above, right, mental, and bring it into this physical plane and do something with it. And then also from what you are doing on this physical plane, it goes above as well. And so this is where like this generation of healing, of our ancestral healing, like healing our lines can come from, right? When we honor something that's within our spirit that maybe someone that in your line from long ago was not able to honor. So that's the alchemy of it all. And so if you find that you have some blockage somewhere with this energy, some alchemy work that you can do is around taking back your space and time. And what I mean by that is the structure of our society has rules of engagement, and part of that is creating time and what you're supposed to be doing and where you're supposed to be at a time, right? I think it was Albert Einstein that says that time is all relative, because time really is all relative, right? Like in ancient times, the way we worked with time looks different than the way we work with it in this Western period. And so taking back your space and time could mean something as simple as, I will not rush out of the house to get to work. I will stop for a minute and just drink my coffee, or I will stop for a minute and eat a piece of fruit. I'm not going to rush out of the bed, right? I'm going to just meditate for a minute before I get up, or before I go to sleep. I'm not going to go from coming home, eat, watch TV, then just hop in the bed, or get on social media, then hop in the bed. Like, I'm going to take some time. Or on the weekend, I'm going to pause for a minute. And what is my spirit telling me that it wants to do? Like, how does it want to spend this free time? What would I like to do versus what somebody else may be saying what you should be doing with your time? That's some alchemy that can be done with returning the power of self in how you use your time and space, right? Like, space meaning, if you're in a bedroom, that's space. A room is space. Who's dictating or who's navigating or whose narrative runs how you spend time, right, in that space? So that's what I mean when we talk about the alchemy that can be used to help support if there is blockage, or maybe not complete blockage, but you just want it to be stronger in you. You want the energy of the magician to be stronger in you. So some root work. So when we talk about the magician, we talk about this being air and space. We could bring up the respiratory system, which is so now we're talking about the throat chakra, which is where space comes out. Like your voice, the throat chakra is your voice, right? Where you declare, your manifestations come from this voice. And so when we talk about root work, we're working with the respiratory system. And so some root practices that can be really beneficial for you in harnessing this energy is breath work. We do not take enough time to breathe. Just breathe. And I encourage my community, before you hop out of bed, just breathe, even if it's just for 2 minutes. I also encourage just in between on the go, meaning if you're running errands, when you get to wherever it is that you need to go, breathe before you get out the car. When you come back into the car from whatever it is you needed to do, breathe again. Like just at night before you lay down, breathe. Like breath work is so powerful. Breathing is within itself. The pause to breathe within itself is a reclaiming of your space and time. So breath work is something that can really be beneficial. Now, there are also aromatherapies that can be beneficial in creating an atmosphere, are creating ownership of your space and time. Is sage. Sage is a very good clearing. And again, I'm talking about using this as an aromatherapy. So you can find it already in sprays, or you can buy sage and burn sage, or you can buy incense sage. So these are some ways that you can find this herb in spray form or in burning form or incense form. You can find it at places like Sprouts. Of course, you can find it at a crystal shop or spiritual store, but they also sell it or at a health food store. But Sprouts I'm not sure where you are, where you're listening to this podcast. So I guess at this moment I'm sounding really American when I say Sprouts. But you can find it at a Botanica, like you can find it at those places. So sage, Palo Santo is another one. Florida water is another one. These are aromatherapies that can be very beneficial. Now, some herbs that can be used as medicinal are even, well, one of them, thyme, can even be used as a seasoning. But the two herbs that I want to mention, one is mullein, which aids in creating mental space. Now, herbalists warn that the seeds of mullein are toxic. So I would disclaim that if you're going to work with this herb, I would strongly recommend that you work with an herbalist that already knows how to use this herb, or a root worker who knows how to use this herb. I also want to give this disclaimer again that I am not a medical professional. So if you have any prior history of any physical or mental, any physical issues or ailments or mental illnesses, I ask you to please refer to your doctor and get advice on if herbs are something that align with your health needs. I also would say, even if you don't have a prior history, I would encourage you, if you are not familiar of working with herbs, to speak with a professional. So the other herb would be thyme. Like I was saying, most Italian dishes have thyme in it. Sometimes roasted chicken or roasting a meat. Sometimes that seasoning is used, thyme. But thyme helps in supports releasing and letting go of, so that it's like a clearing of the space, right? And think of thyme, because if you're digesting it, because there's clearing of the space externally when that was that aromatherapy, but the aromatherapy also is being inhaled. So it's also clearing the space internally as well. But when we talk about, the herbs, that's clearing the space internally as well, flushing you out so that the mental universal energy can be filtered through you, and you can hear it when your spirit can hear it when it's talking to you. Now, some herbalists suggest that you only use thyme as a seasoning and to not use it in a medicinal way. And then also herbalists recommend are warned that you do not use this as a medicine when you're pregnant. So that's some of the root work that can be done. Now, as I had shared in my previous podcast, the beginning of this, the number 0, which was my first episode, that I will close every episode with an affirmation. And I am so in love with affirmations, right? Like, I feel like affirmations are just, I just think they're very powerful. And when we talk about affirmations, particularly with this energy that we're talking about today, I think that it's even an extra, maybe extra is not the right word that I want to use, but it really resonates with this energy, because affirmations in reality are manifesting, right? Like, it's creating the reality that you want for yourself, right? So that's how I would describe an affirmation and why it's so resonant to this particular energy that we're talking about in today's episode. And so the affirmation that I want to leave you with today is, I make shit happen. Remember your power. You make shit happen. A journal practice or exercise that can be done around this affirmation is to kind of just go back through your life, right? Like, recall back to yourself memories of when you made shit happen, right? Recall it back, write it down in your journal so you can be reminded about that, which can call back this energy to you as well. So I leave you with that affirmation: I make shit happen. I want to thank you again for joining me. If you are in need of additional support around healing your energy or bringing your energy back into harmony and balance, I encourage you to visit my website, www.rootedsoul.net. Now, the website is coming soon. So be on the lookout for it, because it's being revamped and right now. But I still wanted to give it to you. And I'll put it in the description box. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, I'm going to have it in the description box. So if you go to it and you don't see the page, just know it's coming. It's being worked on. But I want to thank you for taking time out of your day or night or whatever, just your time, and listening or watching this podcast. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.